radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
You know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do. Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
From Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran to Zach Bryan, Phoebe Bridgers, Noah Kahan, and beyond, the Coffee House serves up the singer-songwriters reshaping the sound of this moment, alongside stripped-down classics and acoustic covers. Drop into the Coffee House, Channel 3, and the SiriusXM app. To listen to the Coffee House, activate your subscription now by calling 844-711-8800 or head over to SiriusXM.com to sign up quickly.
Imagine a long road trip where the designated DJ isn't forced to flip from station to station, avoiding commercials and trying desperately to find a signal, where you're not forced to resort to endless rounds of the license plate game to kill time. Stop imagining and start listening to commercial-free music from nearly every genre, coast to coast. Subscribe to SiriusXM and your music stays with you wherever you hit the interstate or take the back roads. Call 844-711-8800 to activate your radio now.
Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
It's a stunning achievement. She has won the biggest title in the game.
The best tennis players in the world take to the grass of the All England Club in London with the hopes of joining legends of the sport as Wimbledon champions.
Novak Djokovic answer off to magnificent seventh Wimbledon title.
SiriusXM's coverage, courtesy of ESPN, starts each morning at 4 Eastern. Hear it all on ESPN Extra Channel 81 in the car and the all-new SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. You gotta get this. There you go. You gotta get this. Let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018-14868.
Grande Deportes, bonjour, vidi vidi vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! Fool, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, if I'm the fool, you guys elected me fool. Remember that Project 2025. Who's the fool? The fool are the people who elected the fool. May Latin strike! If that makes sense then. What a beautiful Wednesday. July the 10th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You go by and test drive yours. Tell them sent you, where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide. I see a lot of wide splits in Dimder Hills, California. It's all fair level war. You know, you can always loosen another belt buckle if that makes sense to you. If your split's too wide, what Johnny Cocker saying, if the split's too wide, you must open another belt buckle. That's not what it's saying, see? Okay, but it sounds like the same thing. If your split's too wide, maybe you haven't been exercising enough. I've been exercising so much and eating so much watermelon and collard greens, I gotta make another loop on my belt buckle. I can just buy another belt, Big C, because that makes too much sense. If that makes sense there, I just take another belt buckle and I make another loop in the belt buckle. It's all fair level work. Some things have a sentimental meaning to me. I want to say I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. The weather report today is about 1 million degrees in Dimder Hills, California. And I'm not joking. Some people, they open the oven to cool the house down. It's so hot in Dimder Hills, California. You gotta open the oven just to cool the house down. No, there's no such thing as global warming. No such thing as global warming. I want to say I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter. And ice! I need some ice! You don't have to be vanilla ice. I just want regular ice. Ice, baby. Too cold. I tell you, ice. I said ice, like ice from the ice maker, not vanilla ice. You should be more specific. Yeah, I want some more ice, not vanilla ice. And I want to say the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little Reds. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep, even though they're playing some baseball in Dimder Hills, California. It's 1 million degrees. And I'm not joking. It feels like a million degrees. You got to take a hot shower just to cool off. There's no such thing as global warming. No such thing as global warming. And then the show is uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV or you be sitting there looking at the oven trying to cool off. Trying to cool off in the oven. If it's 1 million degrees outside and an oven only goes to 450 degrees, it's cooler to turn the oven on. Just don't jump in it if that makes sense to you. I want to say I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports with the crew back in the days at Salem Media. And now we have people who miss a day of practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. I want winners. I want people who want to win. The great Mike Singletary. You want to crown him? Crown him. The late Dennis Green. You want to crown him? Crown him. You want to crown Big C Sports? I really do appreciate that. May Latin strike! I love saying May Latin strike. Hopefully you guys not really listening though. Maybe that's why we have so many fires. They traced the fires back to Big C. They said, Big C, why you keep saying May Latin strike? You know, we've been having lightning strikes in Northern California. How about it? If it's working, I have a clue. How about Big C won the Powerball? Big C, you won the Powerball tonight. How do you say that? I say I won the Powerball tonight. May Latin strike. Let's see if that works. Lightning strikes, all fair level work. I do want to say I love paying homage to the beautiful Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, especially our veterans, oftentimes we say thank you for your service. We say I appreciate your service. We say thank you for serving this country. But oftentimes if somebody have a problem, they also need some vanilla ice. Ice, baby. Too cold. Not that ice. Like ice that comes out of the freezer. If you need some ice that comes out of the freezer, because it's 1 million degrees in Dimder Hills, California, you got to call 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-273-8255. 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's so nice when somebody is leaning back. I want to say thank you so much. The National Veterans Crisis Hotline, they know that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And don't let a veteran waste their mind. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations now. Thank God Almighty, reparations now. That's not what God said, Big C. And then he said, well, you quit cutting me off, man, please. And then God said, let there be light. You know, sometimes you got somebody always want to open their 2 cents when you make a mistake, but when you don't make a mistake, then they say nothing. They want to tell you, hey, that's not what God did not say reparation now, Big C. Yes, he did, man. You see, I caused lightning to strike. Just play along with me, bro. Play along with me. I do want to say, I got some stuff to talk about today with Big C Sports Podcast. Of course, I'll talk about what Martin Luther King said. He said, when people said, what did Dr. King say? he said, freedom at last. Freedom at last. Thank God Almighty. We got freedom at last. That's what he said, but what he meant to say is, reparations has passed. Reparations has passed. Thank God Almighty. Reparations has passed. They let me strike. And we really need the reparations. That's why I'm part of the push for the Big C Sports Podcast for reparations, because I need some more money, and we all need more money, if that makes sense to you. May lightning strike! I love winning the lotto. I said before it happens, and that's my story that I'm thinking about. I've been saying I'm gonna win that lotto. I've been feeling it because I just feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones. Maybe you're having a heat stroke, Big C. Well, you give me a heat stroke, but I'm gonna say I won the lotto, if that makes sense to you. You want to have heat stroke or lotto? I stand in line for the lotto. Yes, even though the heat stroke happened first. I should have had more ice, baby. Too cold, vanilla, ice, baby. But not that ice. I want the ice out of the freezer. If that makes sense to you, because there's heat and sometimes it's too much to deal with, but you rise and shine no matter what. I want to say what I love about doing Big C Sports Podcast. I got a lot of good things to talk about. Of course, I want to talk about one of the millionaires who already got reparations. The great Byron Allen. He was a media mogul. Wouldn't it be great if Big C Sports was carried by Byron Allen? They make me go to Saudi Arabia to get $1 billion. I'm going to ask the Saudi Arabian prince for $1 billion. People know. All they can say is yes. Because it's no without asking. All you can say is yes, it's no without asking. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, I've been telling you, back by a popular demand, I'm going to have a test, because I do a lot of things that I love doing with Big C Sports Podcast. I want to make sure that I do my part. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree with it. But the smart people agree with it. You know, smart people, good people, you know, you people. Good people agree with reparations. I think I'm one of the only sports shows in the universe that champions California reparations. I had yesterday on the program, they're talking about it in Boston, Massachusetts, reparations. They have a commission to study reparations. They'll have the report due by January 31st, 2024. And then also they're doing the study in New York State for reparations. California beat them to the punch, like California beats a lot of people to the punch when it comes to reparations. I want to make sure that we all get that stuff understood. I want to just thank a lot of people doing Zoom calls for the RDC team. Double O hosts a Zoom call every Wednesday, 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Really do appreciate her. I want to thank Yesenia Rivera for being on the call, on the Zoom call today. Chuck Thomas, two-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers, being on the call. I want to thank also a friend of mine who does real estate, and she knows that there's a lot of things that happen in the world of real estate. Helen Malecki, she was also on the program. Really do appreciate her. Going to be expanding that. I want to thank the great August Wesley, a coach for Capo Verde, going to the Olympic Games in Northern California. Also, Kimberly Bohannon, also joining the Big C team. There's a lot of things. I say give it praise. Give it all praise, praise. I say give it all praise. I want to thank Marilyn White, the state planner in Northern California, for many years. She knows what she's doing. Really do appreciate her. Look forward to her joining the Big C team as well. What's the Big C team, Big C? You know how I'm glad you asked. The Big C team is, You know, growing up, if great grandma, she wanted to make the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger. It comes with 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and collard greens on a sesame seed bun. And then great grandma go into the refrigerator and she take all those exotic meats and she put it together on the skillet with some garlic and some pickles and some onions. And next thing you know, you go, ooh yeah! They thought Josie said ooh yeah because he was singing a song. He tasted my great grandmother's Big C burger, and he said, ooh yeah! It make you say ooh yeah. That's my story. I'm thinking with it. And that's what the Big C team is. It's like a bowl of gumbo. You can take all the fixings and all the right seasonings and you can put it together. It's almost like for the 4th of July, I had some ribs that taste like they came out of the universe. They were so good. It was like I was eating them off the grill. I said, I don't need a plate. And I was burning my fingers eating the meat off the grill. They said, why don't you just put it on a plate? I said, I ain't got time for no plate. You know, a little bit of finger burn don't matter. If the meat tastes so good, you got to eat it off the grill. It's like growing up, Mama be in the backyard doing those ribs, those beef ribs, and also some pork ribs. And sometimes me and my brothers, we be eating off the barbecue grill. She said, boy, why don't you go get a plate? I said, Mama, I don't need a plate. And then I burned my finger. She said, see, I told you go get a plate. And then I got the plate. But I had to beat my brothers to this, I had some big brothers. And they were like lions sitting around that barbecue grill. You ever try to eat with a lion? I'm not talking about a political person. I'm saying a real lion. The ones that they eat right off they eat it live. I feel bad for the animal kingdom. Sometimes they eat it live. And I got a brother, he was in the military. He don't like his steak to have more than 1 minute on the grill. He likes it when it's still dripping blood. I said, you must got some lion in your blood. You know, some of those Moors in northern Africa, they were eating lions before the slave trade happened and all that stuff. But as I say, give me some praise. I tell you, it's the heat. Sometimes you get what you get. you accept it. You got Big C Sports doing a show on heat stroke. I said I'm doing my show on heat stroke. What's heat stroke, Big C? It's when your brain's a little bit frazzled because the heat is like 1 million degrees. And I gotta turn the oven on just to cool off. That's called heat stroke. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Oh, Lord, you eat ice because ice tastes better than chips, so that makes sense to you. I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force so they can get me some medication for heat stroke. Got to get my reparations. I want to thank the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the State of California. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give Governor Gavin Newsom praise because they helped mandate the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving them praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I got to get her on the show. I love giving her praise, and she's an expert when it comes to law and reparative justice. I want to thank Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's brilliant, the vice chair. I love giving him praise. He's actually appeared on the Big C Sports podcast. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford, the #1 senator in the history of the universe. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Also part of the California Reparations Task Force. He also championed name, image, and likeness that helps college student athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. Really do appreciate him. He also sponsored the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as it puts into finding missing white children with the Amber Alert. They're not the same. They're not mutually exclusive. You got to realize sometimes there's a difference in the way people are treated. Senator Bradford's the one that makes sure that there is no difference in the eyes of the law. That makes sense to you. He's also part of the California Reparations Task Force. I've met him many times in his office and also at Reparations Task Force. He's a brilliant man. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Michelle Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to our attorney, Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. That Project 2025 wants to get rid of and take us way back to the days of Harriet Tubman. Like saying, Dr. King, thank you for your service, but we don't need you. Like saying, Rosa Parks, you could have sat down on your seat because we're trying to reverse everything. And I'm hearing some people saying they don't even know what Project 2025 is, but they're gonna vote for the party that wants to start it. That makes no sense to me. You gotta read. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise because he's the only member of the task force that actually got reparations. Isn't that something? All the other African Americans on the task force, they did not get reparations. That's not fair. No matter who you are, you want to do the right thing, do the right thing. And what did Dr. King say? He said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I love when he sang that song. You gotta realize that there's a lot of passion in my spirit. It's not just the heat stroke. I mean, that might be part of it too. I'm not going to deny that. But at the same time, I want to appreciate people that do the right thing to make life better for everybody. I spoke yesterday at the Board of Supervisors in Northern California, and I'm going to play that speech so you can hear what it sounds like to speak the truth.
Hi, thank you. My name is Charlton Curry, and I'm a resident of Sacramento County. It may seem redundant, but I want to request that the Sacramento Board of Supervisors, Cerna, Kennedy, Desmond, Frost, and Hume, write a 5-letter signature in support in favor of allocating 1% of the county budget and creating positive alternatives for youth and families who have been affected by a lack of resources. I thank you for your strong consideration for that. We want to thank Officer Marlon Yarber in advance for supplying the rehabilitative resources that the ACA 8 and AB 628 passed on June 27th that will give the youth a real chance for prison diversion. Really appreciate your help with that. Also, we thank you in advance for your yay vote on this future agenda item and look forward to shaping a better future for Sacramento County youth and their families. And so we know, based on new studies, $86 million is a lot, but 1% is not much. And we ask you for your strong consideration for that. Also, as part of the California Reparations Task Force supporters, I run a podcast called Big C Sports Podcast. The Secretary of State of California, Shirley Weber, and Governor Gavin Newsom, they put together a task force that also we're asking for all of your support in. It's important that we uplift our people the same way our ancestors built this country without labor. Everyone needs to get a paycheck. And I'm sure if you didn't get a paycheck, you would ask, where's my money? And that's what the reparations is all about too. And we need to help our youth. But I ask you outside of this meeting also consider the support of Governor Gavin Newsom and Secretary of State Shirley Weber in supporting reparations. It's a big push, not only in California, but nationwide. And part of that goes right back into this, helping our youth. Without that, we can't get it. So keep that in mind as you have the chance to make a change. For people who may not look like you, there's no African Americans on this board, not one. And I don't know why that's the case, but I think I know how. A lot of times we're just kept out. So hopefully from the inside, as you all have access to the inside, when you make decisions about things that affect our youth, imagine looking at your own child. They're putting black kids in prison instead of diversion programs. For the same things that many white kids, they get a diversion program. They don't look like you. There's not one African American up here on this board. Not one. And please consider that when we ask for your help in funding programs that help our children. And I respectfully thank you for your time.
I want to say that I was able to speak at the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors yesterday, but now I want you to hear the most powerful speaker in the history of the United States of America, as he spoke about reparations and going to get our check.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, you know, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them. He murdered the Indians in the process, and these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. You know, it's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! See, I've been having a little bit of fun with my platform. I want to just do the right thing. It's the right thing. We've already passed the Just Act for descendants of Holocaust. We've had reparations for the descendants of Holocaust, reparations for Japanese Americans, reparations for Native Americans. And you got to realize it's time to do the right thing. Don't come acting for my vote if you don't want to talk about reparations. Just walk on by, if that makes sense to you. We got to do the right thing. And speaking of doing the right thing, I love doing the right thing with Big C Sports Podcast. Like I say, it's not for everybody. My show's only for good people. You know, you people, you got to be good to listen to Big C Sports Podcast, because sometimes I say things that may not be comfortable for a lot of people. You know what's not comfortable for a lot of people? Doing work and not being paid. You know what's not comfortable for a lot of people? Being beaten to within an inch of your life because somebody said you didn't pick enough cotton. You know what's uncomfortable? Watching your children be sold off to other plantation owners. You know what's not comfortable? Watching your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your children being sold off. And it was legal in a great country called the United States of America. You know what's uncomfortable? Pretending that it never happened. That's uncomfortable. That's why God created Big C Sports Podcast. That's why God created Big C Sports Podcast. It doesn't have to be comfortable. You know what's not comfortable? It's when you have your assets unprotected. I got a commercial I'm doing before I get into some sports. A guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Resource Development Consulting in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of George Jones. The Missing Link, long-term care solutions by the book. Over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits. Medicare and You is taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other places, it's called Medicaid. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Your family and spouse can avoid the spin down for nursing home costs. Find out your options, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. 8624. I said 800-772-8624. I promise to you, specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets. You need to have your asset protected. Like Spock and the Starship Enterprise, when he didn't have his assets protected, Captain Kirk said, Spock, are the audio Vulcan mine? You need to protect your assets. And that's what he said, up the shield. He said, raise the shields. And Spock said, it's not me. That's for Scotty, Captain Kirk. That's Scotty's problem. And Captain Kirk said, oh, Scotty, are the audio Vulcan mine? Raise the shields, the Klingons are coming. And that's where people got to look at some of these attorneys. They go after all your assets. They're like Klingons or Romulans if you don't have your shields up like the Starship Enterprise used to. Protection of your assets. Put the shields up. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Have you ever known anyone to deal with skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical prescriptions? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical equipment costs? And more, not only that, protection of your assets! Just like Captain Kirk said, Spock, are the audio Vulcan mine? Raise the shields! And Spock said, Captain Kirk, that's not logical. Scotty's the one in charge of the shields. And Captain Kirk said, oh. He said, Scotty, are the audio Vulcan mine? The Romulans are coming! And the Klingons too. He said, raise the shields! Are the audio Vulcan mine? And so Scotty said, well, Captain Kirk, I'm trying to raise them, but I was waiting for your command. He said, sometimes you don't need my command. If someone's trying to attack you, you got to have a force field called the trust. If you don't have a trust, you're out of your Vulcan mind when the Klingons show up. They try to show up and take everything you got because you don't have a trust. Protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. Can be from 10 to 40%. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Like in the movie Star Wars, when Darth Vader, he said, Luke, join the dark side. And Luke said, Darth Vader, are the audio Vulcan mine? You don't have a trust. Darth Vader said, I don't need a trust. I got the Death Star. You think the Death Star can explode planets? Wait until some of those attorneys at probate get a hold of your assets. You got to have an asset protection. Asset protection. Is that Aflac? No, Aflac's the duck. That's gap insurance. A duck can't protect his own assets. That's why you can walk into a restaurant and say, I'll have the duck. They say, which one do you want, sir? I said, I want the one that did not protect his assets. You got to have asset protection. I'm not done yet. Not only that, I told you I make these infomercials and I do it wrong. I say asset protection in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of Attorney George Jones. Protection. What does a trust protect? It gives you protection. Insurance coverage required by law. General liability. Workers' compensation become mandatory this year. Lawyers specializing in living trust. Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care. Most of us will enter long-term care at some point in our lives. You want to pay them now? Or you want to pay them later? Or do you want to not pay them at all with a trust? Avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance. We have pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. What does a trust protect? I'm glad you asked. Your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market account, your certificates of deposit with life insurance, cash values, fixed indexed annuities. What about variable assets? I'm glad you asked. Your real estate properties, qualified money, IRAs, 401ks, other investments. Avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000 and then in 1 year later it appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gains. And some brokers will tell you get that much appreciation because they say what they got to say to make the sale. They got to change and adapt. Over 3 decades of experience. Attention business owners. You got to protect your assets if that makes sense to you. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. You know what Captain Kirk said to Scotty in the USS Starship Enterprise when the Romulans and the Klingons were coming? They tried to take down the USS Enterprise. And Captain Kirk said, Scotty, we need to raise the shields or the audio Vulcan mine. He said, well, that's Spock. Spock's the one in charge right now. Spock said, it's not my shields. Why you want me to raise the shields? And Captain Kirk said, Spock, Scotty, are the audio Vulcan mine? Raise the shields. We got to protect our assets, if that makes sense to you. So the Enterprise can boldly discover new places and do all that stuff. that Captain Kirk said. I told you I got that heat stroke. 800-772. If you suffer from heat stroke, find out your other options to protect your insurance when it doesn't cover. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. But not only that, I want to tell you, when most companies like the RDC team, which is becoming a household name, when we have endorsements, we give them to you before you ask for endorsements. Most estate planners, they don't give you their endorsements because some of them don't have any endorsements. They may go get their kids and say, kids, tell them how many bicycles I bought you by selling these policies. And the kids say, Mom, Dad, are the audio Vulcan mine? It's funny. We have the great endorsements of the late James Gomez, who advised the governors and led change in California nursing homes. He served on Golden One's board of directors. The late Jim Gomez, CEO, California Association of Health Facilities, Sacramento, California, United States, the CEO, the California Association of Health Facilities. He endorsed the RDC team. 21 years doing his thing. But not only that, we have the late Robert Carlson, the chief legal mind for CalPERS. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have the attorney George Jones, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. We have Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. We have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consultant, been doing this thing over 33 years, now going on 34. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veterans Benefits. He endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. I endorse the RDC team. Not only that, as a consultant, business development consultant with the RDC team. Not only that, owner of Big C Sports Podcast, I endorse the RDC team. Not only that, we have Double O. She's the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She endorses the RDC team. She's also a consultant with the RDC team, does weekly Zoom calls all over the country. But not only that, has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on Access Sacramento. And I say, you got to give it all praise. I mean, lightning strike! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You can see I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I love it with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. I thank God for it. I also want to thank Brother Aleem Shabazz, owner of Crescent Sports Media. He filmed the California Reparations Task Force final meeting. That will be up on the National Black Wall Street Project.com website soon, if that makes sense to you, with the help of the inimitable Reverend Tony Pierce. Really do appreciate that. I want to say, give that some praise again. It deserves more than one praise, man, like this strike. Now, I want to tell you, not only do I want to win the lottery tonight, I won the lotto. I've seen it in my dreams. You know what else I saw in my dreams? I want to tell you, there's a lot of great things happening in the world of sports. I want to pay homage to a beautiful, intelligent African-American man. His name is Byron Allen. And are you saying you're having dreams about Byron Allen, Big C? No, I didn't say I had dreams about Byron Allen. I said maybe I should. Heat stroke is in the house, as all fair and level work. But Byron Allen has a net worth of over $800 million. I'm sure he said, don't tell the IRS. Oh, well, that's what I heard. Allegedly $800 million. But when you think about some of the success that he's had in life, and when you think about some of the great, talented African Americans that amassed great wealth, you might think about people like Kanye West. You might think of people like Rihanna, a billionaire. You might think of people like Eddie Murphy, Oprah Winfrey. There are a lot of great people out there that have done a lot in the world of sports. But I got to take Kathy Hughes. There's a lot of wonderful. Hopefully, Big C Sports will be on that list after I win the lotto tonight. I'm not shucking and jiving. But I got to go to Byron Allen. Net worth allegedly over $800 million. He already got his reparations. I want every African American to get $800 million. May lightning strike. You know the money's there because they didn't pay it through the Homestead Act. They gave over 300 million acres of land to only white Americans. That's not true, Big C. You can also get it if you're a white European. Okay, that's true. White Europeans also. Thank you for the correction. They didn't give it to African Americans. We didn't get the GI Bill when our ancestors fought in wars. Got nothing. But the great Byron Allen, he was born in 1961. And professional talk show host, comedian, television producer, film director, songwriter, business person, actor, television director in the United States of America. When people talk about us, what is this net worth? And reparations are important. I want everyone to get what they work for and what was given to you or bequeathed to you through a life insurance policy. Just like every professional athlete, when they sign a contract, they're supposed to get paid for their labor. Whether it's football, basketball, baseball, boxing, MMA, ice skating, figure skating, track and field, you're supposed to get paid for your labor. African Americans, slaves were not paid for the labor. From 1619 to 1865, and then over 100 years of Jim Crow. Think about that. I go back to Byron Allen's net worth. Look at what it's done for his life. Byron Allen is an American comedian, a television producer, and entertainment mogul who has a net worth of allegedly $800 million or more. Now, Byron's one of the most under-the-radar, extremely successful people in Hollywood. He began his career as a stand-up comedian, making his debut on The Tonight Show starring the late Johnny Carson. Here's Johnny! What Johnny Carson should have said and what he meant to say, but President Andrew Johnson, he vetoed the bill. Johnny Carson meant to say, here's reparations! Here's reparations! You know, Ted McMahon used to always introduce Johnny Carson, and they gave Byron Allen a chance. Johnny Carson, one of the youngest comedians ever to perform on the show. His success, it was early in his life. It led to a regular role on the NBC television series called Real People. It was transitioning from comedian to business owner. And then Allen founded Entertainment Studios in 1991, a fully integrated global media production and distribution company. That's what Big C Sports wants to be. And his company became a notable company for producing and distributing TV shows, selling advertisement, pioneering court show productions. In 2009, he launched his 6 HD television network. He also owns and operates Allen Media Group, which is called AMG. In 2018, Byron paid $300 million for the Weather Channel. And again, hearts and thoughts and prayers to the people down in Houston, Texas. I hear about 2 million people without power, some of the flooding. Hopefully things will get better soon with the help of the Army Corps of Engineers. And then back to Byron Allen, paid $300 million for the Weather Channel television network. Not the website, but the channel. In between his 2 companies, he owns 12 cable networks and actively produces around 70 television shows that air on affiliates across the United States. I got to get Big C Sports on his programs. In recent years, Byron Allen has earned headlines for launching a series of so far high-dollar acquisitions. Not all successful. In March 2020, he made an $8.5 billion offer to buy TV stations. Could you believe that? $8.5 billion. That's amazing. In 2022, he attempted to buy the NFL's Washington Commanders. But the good old boys, the oligarchy, said no. No black men allowed. And they don't let black men own NFL teams. It's called collusion. What's collusion, Big C? Google collusion. Byron Allen tried to buy the Washington Commanders. They wouldn't sell it to him. In September 2023, he made a $10 billion offer to buy ABC and various other TV stations from Disney. In November 2023, he attempted to buy TV stations owned by EW Scripps. In December 2023, he made a $3.5 billion offer to buy Black Entertainment Television from Paramount. They told him no, but they're selling it for $1.7 billion to another group of investors. Half the price. They didn't want to sell it to a beautiful, intelligent black man. They say all life began on the African continent, according to Dr. Leaking Greg Remindo. If you know where you come from, maybe you respect your root a little better. All life came from the African continent, according to science, from the womb of a black woman, every hue of color on the planet. The dark gene is dominant. The light gene is recessive. You can get the recessive from the dominant gene. You cannot get the dominant gene from the recessive. That's Mendel. Dr. Leakey was looking for the origin of man. He went to Europe, but he didn't stay long. And he traced the origin of man back to Africa. Reparations now, reparations forever. I told you it's part of heat stroke, but I'm doing the best I can. But I want to tell you back to Byron Allen. Imagine that. Slavery would not have allowed him to do it. Slavery was abolished. There are a lot of good people in this country, all colors, faith, religions, that want to do the right thing. In December 2023, $3.5 billion offered to buy BET, they said no. In January 2024, he completed a $14 billion offer to buy Paramount. None of those deals have actually come to fruition because the white oligarchy, they said no! They told him no. You got to realize that Byron Allen's folks were born in April 1961 in Detroit, Michigan. He grew up in Los Angeles. Allen's interest in show business began during his childhood when he would accompany his mother to NBC studios in Burbank, California, where they make most of the movies in Southern California, where she worked as a publicist, free to roam around the sound stages. Now think about this when you think about what Jim Crow did to black Americans. He was free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, he's free at last to roam around the stages. And then Allen would sneak into the Tonight Show and sit behind the great Johnny Carson's desk and play talk show host. Allen put together a stand-up routine and began performing at amateur nights in Los Angeles comedy clubs. Comedian Jimmy Walker. He saw Allen's stand-up act and was so impressed that he invited the 14-year-old comedian to join his comedy writing team alongside his young comedian Jay Leno and David Letterman, who also went on to have talk shows. At age 18, Allen made his television debut on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, starting Here's Johnny. He got that chance early, but he had to show up. And because the Jim Crow laws were abolished, when he went on to The Tonight Show, he was able to ascend, if that makes sense to you. And then Allen holds the distinction of being the youngest stand-up comedian to ever have performed on the show. Going from slavery to Jim Crow to free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. And then the man made his debut on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. His one-night gig, The Tonight Show, was so successful that it led to an offer for Byron to co-host a new talk show called Real People. While co-hosting Real People, he took the opportunity to learn as much as he could about producing, directing, advertising, and how money really works in the entertainment industry. He spent his spare time creating relationships with various television studios, speaking directly with advertisers, and becoming acquainted with everyone he could bring behind the scenes and talk to them. In 1993, Byron Allen co-founded Entertainment Studios with his mother, Dear Mama. His first series, Entertainers with Byron Allen, was a weekly one-hour series. It was profiling the current stars of film and television. In 2009, Allen became the first television entrepreneur to own and launch a portfolio of 6 24-hour HD television networks simultaneously. What's simultaneously, Big C? You can Google it. The 6 networks include, oh my God, Big C Sports Podcast is on 29 podcast platforms. I tell you, I'm going to build it into a $1 billion company. I just had an epiphany. Byron Allen, in 2009, he became the first television entrepreneur to own and launch a portfolio of 6 24-hour HD television networks simultaneously. Like Big C Sports Podcast on 29 podcast platforms simultaneously. I didn't do the work on my own. I got help from an agency out of New York City. And then the 6 networks include Pets TV, Comedy TV, Recipe TV, Cars TV, ES TV, and My Destination TV. Well, Big C Sports Podcast is on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV, and a plethora of podcasts. So today's Byron's companies produce more than 30 nationally syndicated programs that generate more than $100 million in revenue per year. I want that kind of money, God. Entertainment Studios is the largest independent producer and distributor of first-run syndicated programming in the world. You got to give that brother some praise. I said, give him praise, praise, praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I could go on and on with the great Byron Allen, but I will close with this. The revenue model, instead of charging the networks huge fees for the rights to his shows. He gives away his shows for free. As you read that, think about that. In exchange for giving the content away for free, Byron is given the right to sell 50% of the show's availability advertising time, which he then sells directly. Advertisers are clamoring to buy advertising time with him, as well, since he can charge lower prices for the ad time while still reaching 35 million viewers, largely due to the sheer number of shows he has running. Byron owns 100% of entertainment studios to this day. Wouldn't it be great to bring Big C Sports Podcast to work with Byron Allen? I'm going to find a way to interview that brother because I want his advice. I want to learn, how do you get there? How do you do it? I want to make sure that I understand that too. Everybody has their own thoughts about life. Byron Allen serves on the Motion Picture and Television Fund Board of Governors. In February 2023, Allen was presented with the inaugural legendary honor by the African American Student Union of the Harvard Business School. You got to understand, sometimes you got to fight for what you want. Spock, are you out of your fucking mind? TV networks, are you out of your fucking mind trying to discriminate? Byron Allen, in 2020, Byron wrapped up a 5-year campaign against Comcast after filing a $10 billion claim for racism. We know there's no excuse for racism. In February 2021, he withdrew his lawsuit after a private settlement was reached. The settlement also achieved agreements for 3 of his cable channels. Comcast had initially refused to carry his channels, a decision that Allen claimed was due to the racial discrimination, and then the court case was eventually taken to the Supreme Court. After an appeal from Comcast prior to this, Allen's suit had been dismissed 3 times at the district court level, but Byron filed similar suits against AT&T and Charter Communications, citing their refusal or unwillingness to carry channels that are owned by African Americans. Man, Latin strike! That's why we need reparations. That crap still goes on, people. He had to sue them. That's a clue. He didn't march. He didn't protest. He put pen to paper with his attorneys, and he went to protect his assets in the court. Allen lost a $10 billion federal lawsuit against McDonald's Corporation for racial stereotyping in their ad practices. In May 2023, he filed a second lawsuit against McDonald's, in which he alleges the fast food chain has refused to own, think about this, to advertise with black-owned media. Now they're advertising as a sponsor of Big C Sports Podcast. I said McDonald's advertises as a sponsor for Big C Sports Podcast. But that's new. Byron Allen's opened a lot of doors for a lot of people. I want to thank him for that. He's also accusing the company of lying after they pledged in May 2021 to boost national ad spending with black-owned media to 5% from 2% by 2024. TV network revenues. This is why Big C Sports wants to team up with Byron Allen. Just like Johnny Carson gave him a chance, I want to shake hands and share intellectual knowledge with Byron Allen. There's no show like Big C Sports Podcast. Imagine if he gave me $1 billion. Think about that. In 2009, Allen became the first television entrepreneur to own and launch a portfolio of 6 24-hour HD television networks. And I've already told you that. He's doing so much. Acquisitions in 2018, it was announced that Byron Allen's company would be acquiring the Weather Channel for $300 million. The man has done a lot for himself. I'm just proud to be able to talk about it. Everybody has their own opinion about what it takes to be successful. You're going to go through some bumps and bruises. In 2022, July, Byron's company acquired the Black News Channel television network out of bankruptcy for $11 million. Attempted acquisitions. In the opening section of what I was talking about, Byron has earned headlines for launching acquisition attempts that have mostly not come to fruition because sometimes they don't want a black man having that kind of power. But he keeps rising and shining. I'm going to finish with this because it's important. In March 2020, he made an $8.5 billion offer, as I mentioned, to buy TV station owner Tenga. In 2022, he attempted to buy the NFL's Washington Commanders. They told him no. In September 2023, he made a $10 billion offer to buy ABC and various other TV stations from Disney. They told him no, but he kept rising and shining. He didn't stop. He said, "I'll not tolerate stopping." And I appreciate the fact that he's done so well for himself in life. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm gonna leave today's show with a promotion on FX. It's about sports and big business. You don't want to miss it.
Let's hear it for the fabulous Clippers and the new coach, Doc Rivers.
The Clippers have never won a championship.
We are going to win this year, and it will change your life.
Look at you. Is that Havarti?
Are you trading DeAndre Jordan?
Excuse me? This is my assistant, Phoebe.
I'm Mr. Sterling's right-hand arm. He has a Ferrari. Oh, hi, Mrs. Sterling.
I love my calendar, girl.
It's the rise of the takers. I hired somebody to follow the money. She's suing me. I need to show them that I have the power.
Are you stupid or something? Don't bring black people to my games. Having fun? I know we are. What's your wingspan?
Everybody out. We have to protect the players.
The season ticket holders are used to a certain amount of access.
I'm used to a certain amount of people acting freaking normal.
The tape recording of you and me, it's out.
Tell me what's on the tape.
Certain statements about...
What? No, what?
That can't be true.
You think I'm a racist?
Dude is literally saying that I'm a piece of property.
I'm your owner. You're not my owner. Every second counts.
Players love me.
We literally hate you.
My kids gonna ask me why I'm playing for a man who's saying all those disgusting things behind my back.
Our whole world is burning down. For what? I'm lining myself up to run the Clippers organization. Are we bad people?
Doesn't matter.
I follow all of the players, but none of them follow me back.
Man, is strike! Reparations now! Reparations forever! I love talking about reparations in sports, but the movie Clip, it's on FX. It's about the power of the NBA owners. Don Sterling was stripped of his franchise because of racism. And some of these athletes that cry about racism, they say nothing about reparations. And that's a shame to me, but hopefully they'll have the guts to do that someday. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I love talking about Byron Allen and the world of sports and big business on Big C Sports Podcast. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, with heat stroke, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad. And fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things I have to do. You can call Uber. You can call Lyft. You can walk it off. You can sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you say may be your own, or someone you love, or someone loves you, or someone who loves somebody else, if that makes sense to you. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. As I always say on every Big C Sports Podcast, I pay homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop, I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. The best person I ever met in my life, always saying rise and shine. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Mama, you know what I've been praising, and I thank you, Mama, with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my beautiful parents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches. They owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. They also owned 40 acres of land. I was walking the hallway one night at 8 o'clock at night in Oakland. In the hallway, I felt a hand touch me on my forehead. About 10 o'clock at night, I was 8 years old. And she said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Cookies is baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long week. She said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms. I love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to a size extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. always saying go forward, aim for a racer's leader. He would say don't look back because you don't have much in your backside to look back at anyway. I said, Todd, I love my backside, Todd. And our favorite movie was actually Pulp Fiction. Our scene was when Ben Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that blip. And so Bruce Willis said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. And he told him, he said, that stinging sensation you feeling? Well, that's just pride flubbing with you. And he said to a lot of people that should hear this when it comes to holding up reparations, flub pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. I love Todd with all my heart, my body, and soul. I love it, I love it, I love it. May lightning strike! All the things we talked about over the years were just simply amazing. And then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Daisy said at the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast, back in the days at Salem Media, it became the first time in the history of the United States of America that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They would normally go to ESPN. It's the first time they ever did it because of 2 black men in the crew. Daisy, you can be anything. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against him will prosper. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want, always trust God. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get the newspapers and look up stats for players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. One day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. Now I'm streaming on 29 podcast platforms, and I'm streaming on 4 TV applications, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything. You're a good man. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. You can truly be anything you want to be, Malcolm. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn with their church buddies always saying, you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. All I have is what I heard from a long time ago. I have what's called this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients called it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God. And that's why I scream so loud with Big C Sports Podcast. I want God Almighty of the universe to hear me. Hear my prayers, God, as I give you praise, praise, praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports Podcast, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I listen to that old Negro ritual, that spiritual song that Martin Luther King sang. He said, reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. And then he said, we deserve it. And we earned it. We know it's true. I always say, I want to end every Big C Sports Podcast. I want to pay homage to America's 16th president, President Abraham Lincoln, because he's the only one that's ever offered reparations to descendants of child slavery. But when he was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson came along, vetoed the bill, and gave the land back to the white plantation owners. And that was not right. And people know it was not right. So help me join along in paying homage to President Abraham Lincoln, because he had the decency to try to do the right thing. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I'll say it one more time so you can really get it into your spirit. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell us? He said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it one more time. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super, fantastic day.